go back to your home, like go back from where you are from. We're not hurt, it's just shocked and scared of our safety. And black people can be racist. White people, sorry. Oh no. I will drag this.
So the black lady saying black people can be racist.
The near daily attacks, black people cussing Asian people out, punching and spitting and kicking Asian people and Asian people.
It's true.
There are dozens to hundreds of these cases every month. Especially in the city of San Francisco, this is happening every day. This gives the black community the power to escape accountability,
right,
because they have a support system of people of
Konnichiwa minasan, kyo desu. And in this video, he talks about the anti-Asianness within the black community in the States. I figured we react to this together because I know a lot of you are concerned about Asian hate in America. If you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Hi guys, I'm here to talk about the rampant anti-Asian racism I'm seeing from the black community. So I already know what some of you are going to say. This is causing racial division. We need solidarity. Not all black people are doing this. Why are you generalizing? White people are racist against Asians too. Why aren't you talking about that? What about the anti-blackness in the Asian community? It's the media that's making it seem like black people are harming Asians more. Yeah, this video is meant for you, to hopefully serve as a cold dose of reality. If you count yourself to be an open-minded person, I ask you to listen to what I have to say before jumping on to the comment section. The precise reason why I want to talk about this is because we live in a society where we Asian people can feel free to talk day and night about how white people are racist against us, but are immediately silenced when we try to talk about the anti-Asianness in the black community.
I have to admit that's true.
While I was walking down the street from my high school to Walgreens, I was walking with 3 of my friends from both China and Taiwan, crossing the crosswalk. There is a car just rushed through us, driven by an African American, shouting that go back to your home, like go back from where you are from. We're not hurt, it's just shocked and scared of our safety. And this white lady kindly asked, can I call the police? Can I do anything for you? We were like, it's okay, thank you very much for your care. The point I'm making here is that we should not distinguish people by their race or gender or anything. Black people can be racist. White people, sorry. Oh no. I will drag this.
So the black lady saying black people can be racist.
Let's start by saying I have very much a problem when a person of any race, white, black, Latino, or otherwise, commit hate crimes against Asian people.
Right.
It makes my blood boil. And let's also start off by saying that when a black person harms an Asian person, that doesn't mean that all black people are suddenly responsible for that.
Correct.
Just as in the same vein, when a white person harms an Asian person, that doesn't mean that all white people are responsible for it. I think I need to say this because our world is going crazy. You are only personally responsible for things that are within your control. You're only responsible for your own acts, nothing else. But then we can't just say black people harming Asians are the actions of the few and then end the conversation there, because of the sheer magnitude of the problem. The near daily attacks, black people cussing Asian people out, punching and spitting and kicking Asian people and Asian people.
It's true.
There are dozens to hundreds of these cases every month. Especially in the city of San Francisco, this is happening every day. And if you're saying hundreds, you're exaggerating. This is why I need to make this video. People are not realizing the magnitude of what's going on because the national news media is not broadcasting this fact as incessantly as one might expect if there were hundreds of videos each month of black people getting punched, spat on, and kicked. Only the rare, exceptionally grotesque cases makes it onto the national news. At the height of the pandemic, they shined a quick and passing light on a number of these videos only because within that concentrated period of time, it became too obvious that this was happening and they could not afford to ignore it without losing the public's trust. But this is happening to this day, and your average anti-Asian hate crime makes it all the way up to local news. And the scattered and dispersed nature of reporting on what is happening means this problem is not rising to the public's consciousness. It's one after another happening day after day. And bear in mind, these are only cases that A, is reported to the police, and B, that the news media picked up on. It's a small subset of a subset. In reality, there is a bigger undercurrent of this rampant anti-Asianness that we're talking about. Just within my own circle, I know multiple cases of this happening. They didn't report it to the police and it wasn't picked up by the news. How many more cases like this are out there? And at what point, after hundreds of these videos, do these cases no longer constitute isolated incidents? So then here's the most important conversation. If this is happening, what do we do about it? As I've said, this doesn't mean that all black people are doing this or that all black people are anti-Asian. But no matter how many times I say that, I found people still go like, oh, why are you generalizing? It's such a disingenuous attempt to deflect from having a conversation about this.
I agree.
And the conversation should go like this. We can all agree that when a black person commits an anti-Asian act or an Asian person commits an anti-black act, that doesn't mean that the entire communities are responsible for their actions. But to the extent that we're having group-level conversations, for example, about the anti-blackness within the Asian community, so too do we need to have group-level conversations about the anti-Asianness in the black community. And the reason why this continues to happen is because we're not doing that. If you're saying, oh yeah, we already do, no, we don't.
Right.
Conversations in private circles do not count. I'm talking about public discussions. I've kept up with these conversations. I've seen our Asian community so-called leaders have conversations with black community leaders on TV about race relations and talk over and over again about the anti-blackness within the Asian community. And not a single sentence on the anti-Asianness in the black community. Amazingly, I've seen mainstream news channels do special segments about Stop Asian Hate and mention within these segments the anti-blackness within the Asian community without saying one word about the anti-Asianness in the black community. On a segment that's supposed to be about our issues. Our Asian leaders having conversations, doing public speeches, and on social media call out the anti-blackness within our own, which is the right thing to do, but they stay silent as hundreds of videos emerge of black people brutalizing Asians. I've been to Stop Asian Hate rallies and have seen, again, our so-called leaders denounce on stage the anti-blackness within our community and talk about how white supremacy is dividing us all, and not a single word on the anti-Asianness within the black community. And in those same rallies, I've seen black activists, which, thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up, but I've seen them come up on stage and talk about anti-Asian hate without mentioning how there's a real anti-Asianness problem in the black community. In fact, I have not heard a single black activist, community leader, politician, media personality with a platform publicly mention a sentence about the rampant anti-Asianness within the black community. And if you're wondering why all of that is going on, because it wouldn't seem to make sense, right? Why this disparate treatment? The mainstream narrative is that even if it's not a white person harming Asians, it's still white supremacy, because white supremacy pits communities of color against one another.
Right.
And so even if black people harm Asians, white supremacy is to blame. And then we're told we can't have a conversation about anti-Asianness in the black community because it's divisive and we need solidarity and unite against white supremacy. Well then, doesn't that same logic flow to the anti-blackness in the Asian community? If supposedly white supremacy is at fault when Asian people harm black people because it pits communities of color against one another, isn't talking about anti-blackness in the Asian community also problematic for that same reason? Because it's divisive and we need solidarity, unite against white supremacy, all of that? Yeah. It doesn't make sense. But I'll give you another explanation that I think more accurately describes what's going on here. What's actually going on here is that the black community has greater political power than the Asian community within the political aisle that purports to represent all of us, the progressive left. With this disparity in political power and influence, we're seeing a situation where anti-blackness in the Asian community is being publicly discussed, but not the anti-Asianness in the black community. And this, is the reason why I feel the need to speak up against the wokeism ideology that has taken over the progressive left, because that is the thing that is underlying all of this. Because according to the ideology, there are two categories of people, the oppressor and the oppressed, with all the dimensions with which you could form discrete categories of people, race, gender, sexuality, so on and so forth. And within the category of the oppressed, there's rankings of the groups by how oppressed they are. And according to the dictates of this belief system, you can say whatever you want about the oppressor group, but you cannot say anything critical about groups that are higher up in the ladder of oppression, while you can say critical things about the groups lower in the ladder. And so what this ideology does is it accords groups highest up in the oppression ladder the power to dominate social and political discussions as it pertains to these group categories. That is the whole thing behind what so many people believe nowadays, that you cannot be racist to white people because they're in the oppressor group, and that black people cannot be racist because they don't have the power to be racist, because they're the highest up in the ladder of the oppressed category. And all the things that I've said earlier about how anti-blackness in the Asian community is discussed in the public sphere, but not the anti-Asianness in the black community, that is a manifestation of this belief system. Some people are under the belief that we can't talk about anti-Asianness in the black community because they're the most oppressed, and will silence you by saying that talking about it is divisive. But they don't say it's divisive to talk about the anti-blackness within our community. And in effect, this gives the black community the power to escape accountability because they have a support system of people of all races who believe that to hold the black community accountable is to perpetuate the oppression of the group highest up on the oppression ladder. And they will attack and vilify anyone who dares to speak about it. As it stands, we Asian people are free to talk about the racism we experience from white people all day long. No social repercussions. But we cannot talk about the racism we experience from black people without being canceled.
Black people can be racist. White people, sorry. Oh no.
Society tells us that we cannot talk about it. Then what that means is that you don't care about the racism we endure unless it fits your worldview and your agenda. So you don't care about anti-Asian racism, you just want to use us as a political pawn. And the same people that adhere to these views, many of them our own people, attempt to put blindfolds over themselves and others in order to explain facts that contradict their belief system. They see hundreds upon hundreds of these videos that have emerged last year, and they say it's the anti-black media that is making it seem like black people are brutalizing Asians, when it's white people doing it more. I'm sorry, but oh my god, am I exhausted with this conspiracy theory BS.
Yep.
Really? The
I
media?
am too.
But tweets that a car killed 6 people when a black man who professes hate for white people on social media ran through 6 white people during a Christmas parade? Is it the mainstream media that is making it artificially seem like black people are disproportionately harming Asians? Or is it the case that people are pointing to the less than usual instances where the media is actually showing what's happening on the ground and then saying it's anti-black to show it? The kind of reaction and public backlash which is the very reason why the media tends not to do this in the first place. And let me ask you a few more questions. If it was actually the case that hundreds of these videos are not representative of reality, that white people are doing it more, and that there are thousands of videos of white people brutalizing Asians that the anti-black media is surreptitiously hiding from the public, wouldn't we have noticed by now? If there were actually thousands of videos of white people brutalizing Asian people, isn't it far more likely that the media will be broadcasting it day after day, talking about this emergency, how white supremacy is endangering Asian Americans, since that has been their talking point all throughout?
Yeah.
And if there were to be, hypothetically, hundreds of videos of Asian people beating, spitting, and kicking black people, will we not be hearing relentlessly in our public discourse how the Asian community needs to address the anti-blackness within? Wouldn't the black community rightfully be demanding that of us?
Correct.
So why aren't we? We need to start standing up for ourselves.
Solid video. He said everything I believe. One of my neighbors right next to me actually is a Chinese guy named Aiden. And we had some conversations, and when we were talking about race, he would say things like, you know, when his family first came to the United States, they lived in very poor areas, in the ghettos where there's a lot of black people. And he told me he got viciously bullied by a lot of blacks, in which they would make fun of him for being Asian, and they would tell him, hey, go back to your country. Thankfully, like, he doesn't hate black people, but he did say that a lot of the initial hate he got was from black people. And I can't tell you how much I've hanged around Asians and they've kind of like given me like the pass, like, okay, like you're one of the cool black guys. I do agree with what he said. In America, we have a thing called the Oppression Olympics, in which the more you're oppressed, the least accountable you are. To the point where, like he said, a lot of people are saying that black people can't be racist. Which of course is a lie, because for black Americans specifically, we are some of the most racist groups in America. Sometimes you would catch people's voicemails. Even after they hang up, you can hear conversations, lingering conversations. And he told me that she said, don't mess with that dark-skinned black man. Nothing that black is ever good. I've heard plenty of stories in which black people will discriminate because you're either darker or you're lighter skin. So even in black circles, we discriminate each other based on skin color. And statistically, like he mentioned, most crimes against Asians are from black people in America. But the problem that we have in America, and especially me as a black man, is the fact that when you mention these issues, the black community generally, they attack you for it. Because anytime you point out a problem that the black community has, it's like other blacks feel like they have to attack you for it. I mean, on this channel, I've seen a few response videos from certain black creators who've commented me saying that I'm a sellout, and that I'm just licking the boots of the Japanese people because I just want to be Japanese and I hate being black, apparently. It's because I believe as human beings that you should be accountable for what you do, and I think that people should be held accountable for their actions. But sadly, in the black community, because we have such a broken community, holding black people accountable means that something's wrong with you and not the community. And even I read some comments on this channel that said, hey, Kyo, I actually had very bad views of black people, but because of you, you actually changed my worldview. And I do agree that there is a certain amount of disconnect with the Asian community towards blacks, but I think a lot of that is because there's such a difference in culture and mindset. And blacks generally have a more destructive culture than Asians in America. And I'm not hating on black people. I love being black, but you gotta state the truth. But please, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. Hanto, arigatou gozaimasu. Minna, kiyotsukete. Ja ne.